get up and running. Okay, I think that's the majority of people connecting to audio or connecting as they come in. So good evening to everyone. My name is Diarmuid Brannock. I'm the Director of Academic Affairs with iheed, and we run this diploma programme with the Royal College of Physicians of Ireland. So the purpose of tonight is to give you a pretty in-depth overview of the programme and to give you a sense of what being a participant on the program is like, what you can expect to get out of the program, what the structure and format is like, and how it's assessed and things like that, so that you can make a really informed decision as to whether this is the program for you. In terms of other personnel that are with me this evening, Dr. Mark Rollins is one of our program tutors. He'll introduce himself in a couple of minutes, but he's a consultant paediatrician in Northern Ireland. And then we have Dr. Nigel and Dr. Zainab, who are, sorry, I hear my wife's phone ringing in the background. Hadn't thought of that one. Sorry, Dr. Nigel and Dr. Zainab, who are currently students on the program, and they will be able to give you a kind of honest, warts and all view as to what it's like to do this program. In terms of just a couple of housekeeping things, so all of your microphones are muted. There's about 50 odd of us on the call at the moment, and if everyone's microphones were on, it would get slightly chaotic. If you want to ask a question, please do so. We want to answer as many of them as we can. The chat function down the bottom of the screen will allow you to do that. So there's a few of us from the program management side that are on the call as well. So there's people to answer all those questions, and we can have them as part of the discussion as well. So if at any stage there's questions, please ask them in chat. We will endeavour to be started and finished within an hour. A lot of that will depend on the amount of questions that you have. But if I could start actually with...
Yes, Diarmuid, just before you start, just another little bit of housekeeping. For anybody who has joined the call that has like Galaxy or iPhone or an unidentifiable ID, Zoom ID, Quiva will be reaching out to you personally to ask for your actual name if you don't mind. So if you can just wait for that chat, you will receive it. And if you can give her your name, we'd appreciate it. So thanks so much.
Brilliant. Thanks a million, Rebecca. So I thought what we could start with would be actually just asking Dr. Zainab and Dr. Nigel what drew them to the program, so and how they're finding it. Nigel, do you want to go first? What attracted you to say, right, I'm going to give up 6 months of my life and do a diploma in paediatrics?
Yeah, thank you, Diarmuid and Mark, Rebecca. I don't know if I'm the right person to give feedback, considering there are full-fledged pediatricians in this group. But thank you for asking me for my feedback. It's an honor. I feel the whole experience has been thoroughly befitting and enriching. When I registered for this course, I wasn't actually sure as to whether it was the right decision being an anesthetist. But my knowledge in pediatrics has definitely had a big boost, and it has definitely been a wonderful experience. So much so that I'm now looking at options to build up on my knowledge gained in pediatrics. Anyway, I think it is definitely worth the try to do this course. Most importantly, I felt the course material was made very diligently, and it was very interesting. A lot of videos, animations, and all these definitely made the course very unique. It wasn't too taxing either, except on the night before and on the day of the exam. So anyone looking to build up on their knowledge in pediatrics, this is definitely a thumbs up from an anesthetist dealing with pediatric patients.
Thanks a million, Nigel. That's fantastic. Zainab, what about you? You're coming from a slightly different clinical perspective. How have you found it so far?
As a general practitioner in my country, Nigeria, you see a lot of pediatric patients on a daily basis. So if you're not in the residency program, the only way you can build yourself is to read. And we all know as doctors, we're so busy and we cannot really fit into our schedule. So I needed a program to help me boost my reading. And honestly, I did not expect what I got. It's like I can discuss with residents right now about certain things, and they'll be like, "Are you just doing a diploma? And how come you know so much?" It's really amazing. As Nigel said, it has made me rethink my future in pediatrics. I honestly see myself going to maybe residency because it has opened my mind. It has opened, and the materials, the weekly lectures, it's amazing. I can't even put into words. So if you want to be as a general practitioner, or you want to further your career in pediatrics, it's a perfect starting point. It will just, like, it's a boost. It's a really good boost. I don't regret it.
That's fantastic feedback. Thank you so much. And Nigel, what have you found challenging? You know, you're at work now. You're a really busy clinician. You know, everyone who's going to take this program on is going to have their full-time role, their family commitments, try to have some sort of social life as well. How have you found balancing it? What have you found challenging?
I wouldn't say it was easy, but it's not difficult either. I like you mentioned, my duty schedules are pretty busy. But the best part about this course was that even the weekly lectures that we had, they were recorded sessions. Though till now, I think I didn't miss any lecture. Mark, I think I was present. I think I managed to somehow stay on for all the lectures and listen to, because even if I missed 1 week, I would miss Mark bashing me on that particular day. Anyways, the good thing is that I think it's very easy to balance your social life, your family life along with this course. There's a lot of scope for time and space and commitments. So definitely, I think it's a must-do course for anyone who deals with pediatric patients. And like I mentioned earlier, it's not very taxing. I didn't feel it very taxing. I felt it was very flexible. Even when it came to our last exam, when there was a certain request, it was taken into consideration very positively. And it did help all of us, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, Zainab, that's one thing I was going to ask. How have you found the assessment? How have you found the exam, the skills submissions? How have you found those?
Interesting, I would say, because it opened my mind to a different world, because when I started the exam and the program, and I told my colleagues I was going to have exams online, they were like, how would it be credible? But when I went through the exam process, I saw that it wasn't a joke. It's not, if you write the exams, you would be proud of yourself in the sense that, you really did write an exam that can stand anywhere, as that can be validated anywhere. So as Nigel said, it's not an easy thing. In medicine, there's nothing that is easy in medicine. All I believe is time management. And honestly, you guys, you are all amazing, because the support is I don't know, I can't find the right word, because you understand with the COVID and the fact that a lot of people could not keep up to time for certain things. You gave us room to be able to maneuver and everything. So if you just manage your time, you can play around, basically.
Yeah,
and you would...
that's a concept that I think we're going to touch on throughout the evening, is the kind of getting into a rhythm and being able to balance the program with other things. So look, thank you both so much. Nigel, I know you have to head off because you're on call. Zainab, stick around as long as you'd like. You hear quite enough of myself and Mark talking though, so if you need to head off, do at any stage. But what I'm going to do now, I'm going to share a screen, and I'm going to walk you through an overview of the program. And sorry, bear with me 1 second. Okay, hopefully now everyone can see the PowerPoint. Yeah, brilliant. Okay, so I'll start with an introduction as to, you're going to hear us talk about iheed, and you're going to hear us talk about the Royal College of Physicians pretty interchangeably throughout the talk this evening. So who are iheed? You can see on the right, we're a medical education technology organization. We're based in Ireland, so we're headquartered in Dublin in Ireland. We have offices in London and Dubai as well, but we're based out of Ireland, though none of us have seen our office in about 6 months, thanks to COVID. We've been around since 2013, and we've very deep relationships with both healthcare ministries and medical regulators right across, Ireland, UK, Middle East, Malaysia, and all that we do is postgraduate healthcare education. So we have a team of academics, of clinicians, of instructional designers, of software designers, and what we do is we create really compelling, really engaging online medical education programs, and this is one of them. They range from short CPD right up into master's programs and family medicine residency programs. And so far, we've over 400,000 course completions to date. So having this in our DNA and this being what we do allows us to create really, really high-end, high-quality programs. And you've heard Nigel and Zainab what they've said about it in terms of kind of the experience. The qualification that you get is from the Royal College of Physicians. Obviously, they're founded in 1654, so they're one of the oldest institutions in the world. They are, in terms of reputation, they are renowned for their postgraduate training and education. So, the Faculty of Paediatrics that this sits under was established in 1982, and this program, though, itself is a reasonably new addition to their portfolio. And I'll just articulate a little as to where the program came from. So what you'll see here is the training path if you want to become, as Mark is, a consultant pediatrician, be it under the UK system or under the Irish system with the RCPI. So, if you want to become a consultant pediatrician, you do 2 to 3 years of kind of basic training, and then you do 5 to 6 years of higher specialist training with exams in between. And it's residencies and fellowships that are based on a combination of education and then clinical supervision in various hospital settings. So, that's an 8-year path. At the same time, what we recognized was an awful lot of people want to have a much greater level of confidence and competence in dealing with pediatric patients than you will get in your standard MBBS or your MBCHB or your MD. And that, people want more of an exposure to manage the little people that need help with their conditions. So we came up with a diploma in pediatrics, which is a 6-month qualification. And it's specifically aimed at people that are working in primary care, people that are at the early stages of specialist pediatric training. So, if you're coming in here at the start of kind of R1 into a residency program in pediatrics, this will give you a really, really excellent grounding to get you going. Or experienced practitioners that are just looking for a refresher or for a formal qualification. And I mean, Mark, obviously you've done, I think, the DCH yourself, and you've seen quite a lot of people that just do a diploma in pediatrics for the worth of having the diploma. Where do you think it sits in relation to kind of just patient care and what it does for your career?
Yeah, I think, Dermot, it's still a very important certificate to have. It's a proof of doing pediatric training of various needs. I myself have exams both through the UK and in Ireland, and the Diploma of Child Health is important basis, not just for family practitioners and for paediatricians in training, but as Nigel has clearly pointed out, for people who are involved with treating children in various specialties. So you don't have to necessarily be a GP specializing in pediatrics or a pediatrician in training, or indeed a trained pediatrician, which some people are going back to do the diploma to update their skills. It's to my mind is the primary diploma for basic pediatric training to use for other means. And anytime I see somebody with who has a DCH beside their name, I know not only that they've specialized in some sort of children's training, they've also been prepared to do the work and have a certificate after it. So it is still an important certificate, used and accepted and respected throughout the world. In the UK, there is a Diploma of Child Health through the Royal College of Physicians, as we're involved in England, in the Royal College of Paediatrics. They have theirs, but there is a huge issue at the moment with having face-to-face examinations and actually completing the exam, where I think what we've realized, and even pre-COVID, that we can provide assessments and standardization on an online basis, and actually get a lot more integration and communication between the students and tutors with their needs as we step along towards achieving the end goal.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And when I look, Mark, at the makeup of participants in the program, and you see, yes, there's a lot of people in family medicine on the program, and you'd expect that. But there's also there's folk like Nigel in anesthesiology. There are a whole bunch of people involved in emergency medicine in A&E departments. There's a couple of cardiologists. As you say, it's anyone who's kind of dealing with children and wants that extra piece of knowledge and that extra exposure and education. And I think that the point you make is around evidencing it, so that if I'm beside you in an interview scenario and my CV has a diploma in pediatrics and the other person beside me doesn't, mine is going to shine. I think what we've got here is just in terms of the actual qualification, what's awarded is it's an academic qualification, and that's really important to set out from the outset. There's no clinical oversight required for this program. So we won't be asking you to get sign off of procedures or clinical exams in your workplace. It's an academic qualification. The Royal College of Physicians, it's absolutely recognized worldwide. RCPI give 44 hours of CPD or CME certification with the program. Again, that's recognized everywhere from Qatar to Australia. Some of the regulators grant standardized amounts of hours. If you say, I've done a postgraduate program and it's got, it's a semester, they'll say, okay, that's 36, 40, whatever hours. So depending on the country you're in, you'll either get the 44 hours or whatever your regulator has as their standardized allowance for a qualification. What is really important, and it goes back to the previous slide here, of to get specialist status in pediatrics is an 8-year road. This is a 6-month qualification, which is a fantastic experience, but does not confer specialist status on you. You don't become a pediatrician out of the program. So, that's important to kind of state from the outset. In terms of what the program's doing, so what we're looking at is, is the latest evidence, and that in itself is really important, is that it is an evidence-based program. We're drawing from the latest research and thinking in clinical trials in pediatrics. And what we're looking at is acute care, common presentations, issues around screening, disability, development and growth. And we'll go through in detail what the curriculum covers in a couple of minutes. But what we want you to do is develop knowledge and confidence and really understand the multidisciplinary team and how that plays in a pediatric setting. And that, again, the richness of having a variety of backgrounds of participants in the program really helps with that. The online environment is genuinely stimulating. You've heard Nigel, you've heard Zainab, you know, and we'll talk about the structure in a few minutes, but there's a lot of touch points during the program, so that you know you'll never feel that you're on a distance program. You'll never feel that you're doing online study on your own. You're going to feel that you're in a small group of 20 odd people that are on a journey together, and that you're being led by a tutor that really cares about your progress. And the relationship that builds up between the tutor and their students is fantastic. And that concept of collaborative learning is really important. What we're giving you tonight is very one directional. We're kind of pushing information at you. I can assure you that the tutorials that you have each week are two-way conversations. It is case discussion and debate. It's figuring out what you do with a complex case, or how you spot the unusual diagnosis. So it's a very involved program. Mark, could I ask you to kind of go through actually what we cover and kind of why it's relevant, important, and this what you can see here is a scenario for this is the group that have just started in August. So this is their timetable and what they're going through in kind of in real time, to give you a sense of how the program progresses.
Yeah, what we want to do is obviously cover the whole aspect of pediatrics. We're not here to teach you to be a consultant pediatrician, but we are here to give you an up-to-date evidence base of what's the best way to manage and assess children. We will go through in the weeks about different topics and cover everything that's major. One thing we haven't mentioned, we don't really cover neonates or tertiary hospital care. Again, what we want to cover is the basics, learning how to take a history, learning how to examine children. Yes, we'll touch there on the critically ill child and assessments and scoring, either in the community or in hospital, and then go through various topics. With the topics, what we do is we provide a discussion online that we get the students to comment on. So it gives us an idea of how they see different topics. And then each week we do a 1-hour tutorial, which is face-to-face in our groups. And we go through the discussion, but we also take a topic as demonstrated and go through that. So these are all evidence-based topics. You will, as a student, have read the module, so you'll be prepared to see what you get. You can see at the end of the block, we've 3 blocks. Initially a 6-week block, and then we've 2 blocks of 8 weeks. Intertwined with that, we give you a week off for exam preparation, and then we go on ahead and do an assessment. So the assessment is an online examination. We do little vignettes for you, including multiple choice or case scenarios. And we also get you in each block to provide us with a little video. It's all good fun. And you provide us with a video with a patient of your choice, or talking to the computer to give us an idea of your understanding about communication on a particular topic. Dermot's put up the sort of weighting of the exams. I think the first thing we should say about the exam, we're here to get you through. The majority go through. We're talking about less than 5% who don't, and the majority of those are ones that haven't contributed or attended. So if you contribute and attend, you'll have no problem getting through it. And to say, we don't want to spend your whole 6 months of your life worrying about a diploma of paediatrics, as Nigel has clearly said, with one tutorial a week, doing a discussion online, that's it. And in between times, you can ask the tutors any questions or concerns. Again, your modules that you have access to, in addition to going through didactic type lectures, we've lots of slides, and we also have up-to-date guidelines. These are reviewed regularly, so the whole module is right bang up to date. The tutors that are involved, we're all experienced general paediatricians, work with primary care, secondary care, tertiary care. We're coming from all sorts of different aspects, and we understand the teaching of paediatrics. We're also lecturers in various universities, various departments. We're also active examiners in membership, fellowship, diplomas. So we love experience, and we want to give back to a whole range of people looking after children, how to assess and treat in various groups. So again, we're not teaching you to be an out-and-out specialist pediatrician. We're treating you or stating to you how to assess children and what the current evidence base is.
Yeah, absolutely, Mark. And so to touch on a couple of points that Mark made there, and I'd reiterate, yeah, the assessment and the exam is, not something to be feared, and you'll see that in the pass rates later on. In terms of how the program structure, so you've seen the kind of the topic areas that range from things like wheeze and asthma to child protection to normal development, and each week has particular topics. So again, it allows you to focus in on exactly what we're covering in a particular week. And once that's gone through, we don't reassess at the end of block 2. We don't reassess the stuff from block 1. We kind of contain everything and just keep you moving through. So, you go through the topics week by week. So there's 22 weeks of content that are structured into the 3 blocks. And as Mark has said, it's 6, 8, and 8 weeks. And the weekly topics are there. What's really important is actually the rhythm that you get into and the kind of the pattern to each week. So on a Sunday or a Monday morning, we'll put a discussion post live, and that will be a short case vignette which will illustrate a scenario that a child is presenting with X complaint, and it'll ask you for your next steps in kind of investigation or in diagnosis, or what would you do, how would you do it, and that is always going to be related to that week's content. And sorry, I should say at the very outset, you'll have a really comprehensive induction week. The content to go through online, massively engaging. And I'll show you some screens of it in a little while, but the quality of the online content is phenomenal. So you're going through the discussion forum at a time that suits you during the week. You're going through the content at a time that suits you during the week. And then once a week, and it's the only part of the program where you have to be available at a specific time. So if you're in Ireland, it's a Wednesday evening usually. If you're in Australia, it's a Wednesday or a Thursday evening. If you're in the Middle East or Africa, it tends to be either Thursday evenings or Friday mornings. So, and we do that based on times that we know suit the majority of a group, and we group everyone by time zone. That weekly discussion is really where the content comes to life, where you're in a group discussing it with your peers, discussing it with your tutor, and it's a really important part of being in a group together and learning from each other and getting to know your tutor and debating and finding out how things are done in other jurisdictions. Some countries will have a different scope of practice to yours, and it's a really, really rich learning experience to be in that every week. It also, because you're contributing to a discussion forum each week and you're on a tutorial every week, you'll never feel alone in the qualification, and that's really important, that you're motivated along with a group of other people to kind of progress at a pace. The continuous assessment of the exams, I'll talk in a bit more detail, but just to stress, they are of a particular standard, but as Mark said, if you engage with the content, there is nothing to fear from the exam.
Dermot, I could just sorry intervene. And again, as some of you out there are maybe general practitioners, primary care, secondary care, even tertiary care. So we understand that, and it'll be pitched at whatever level you're at. So we bring everybody on board. This isn't somebody who's looking for, people who are looking for specialism. It's understanding from family practitioners, where they develop this, who do they communicate with, secondary care, tertiary care. So we're all in it together because pediatrics now is really getting less and less acute pediatrics, hospitalized pediatrics. It's really out in the community, and it's how we manage these children outside of hospital. And so we're not expecting our family practitioner group to be experts in various specialisms.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a really valid point, Mark. In terms of the environment, then, it absolutely looks fantastic. It is a joy to go through. For anyone that's done an online course, even up to a couple of years ago, this looks and feels very, very different than what you've seen before anywhere. It's very visual. It's very interactive. It's based around patient cases. It works equally as well on mobile as it does on a laptop or tablet. And as Mark's outlined, the focus here is on clinical decision making. It's on identifying a diagnosis, knowing what a treatment is, of the most common things that you're going to come across time and time again in practice, and the red flags for the really unusual stuff that you'll rarely see but need to know what to do with. So having this as a kind of a broad-based knowledge in pediatrics is extremely valuable. In terms of the assessment then, so as Mark said, the skills portfolio, so you have an assessment at the end of each block. The skills portfolio, we'll ask you to record a video, and it can be on something like history taking or explaining a diagnosis to a child or breaking bad news to a parent or a guardian. And it's in a simulated environment, so we're not asking you to do this with real patients. For some of them, we might ask you to get a colleague or to get a family member as an actor. So you record that on your phone, you upload it to the platform, and you get feedback on it. The first one doesn't count for marks. It's purely formative feedback. The ones for block 2 and 3, they count for 10% each. The exam then is worth 20%, 30%, and 30%. The style of exam is, it's either multiple choice questions or kind of single best answer, or what we call key feature problems, where we'll give you a short case vignette and ask you in your own words to either, describe the diagnosis or the next steps, or how would you investigate. And again, the time limit in the exam is appropriate. They're not long. They're absolutely directly related to the curriculum. We go to a huge amount of detail as to what's in the curriculum, what's come up in our discussions, in our tutorials, what's on the online platform in terms of content, and then what's fair to ask as exam questions. So there's no curveballs in the exam. It's things that you'll have covered off. And as Mark said, if you're engaged with the program, you will fly through the exam. And we've seen that, the pass rates, the exam we've just corrected last week, the pass rates are above 95%. So, it's, the assessment is important, as Nigel and Zainab have said, you'll feel tired after it, but they're very achievable. I suppose the next thing to look at then is, what does it actually mean for me in terms of balancing this with my family life, with my social life, with my clinical schedule, and what does being a participant on this kind of look and feel like? So the first thing is, there's hundreds of people on this program all around the world. You will only ever see your group, and your group will be a small group. There'll be 25 odd people in the group, and you'll get to know your own tutor. So it will feel really involved. The blocks and the pace of it is really important. We, again, we had a lot of debate around what length of program should this be, and what breadth of topics should it cover, and then what depth we can achieve within each of those topics. And we're really happy with the balance that we've got. The program, those 22 learning weeks, it goes, depending on the time of year that someone starts, it goes between 6 to 7 months, with when we put in kind of breaks for New Year or other holidays in it. So the pace is really is really flexible and good in terms of balancing the desire to have enough time to absorb the material, but get through the program reasonably quickly. In terms of what you're looking at for commitment, it's probably about 5 to 6 hours a week is the most you'll put into the program. You'll do an hour or so in your discussion forum. You'll do your hour at your weekly tutorial, and then you'll probably spend another hour or so going through the content on the platform, and then you'll probably read around for another hour to 2. So, aside from the lead up to the exams, I think that 4, 5, 6 hours a week is probably what you're looking at. And what a lot of our current students do is they try to decide, okay, if their shift patterns allow it, they'll try to decide and say, well, look, a Saturday morning, I'm going to block off kind of 2 hours on a Saturday morning or 2 hours on a Monday evening. That'll be my study time. And if they can say that to their family, to their colleagues, and kind of compartmentalize their study, it means that it doesn't blur into the rest of their lives, and that they can schedule this study in with everything else, and having that balance is really important. The flip side of that is there are times when you'll need individual support, and there are times when you'll need guidance, and there's an entire team of people dedicated to this. So your tutor, you're going to get to know really well. They are really passionate about getting people through this program. Their dedication is unbelievably strong. There's a program management team as well then, and the communication back and forwards is brilliant. And we listen to concerns when they come in, be it around, there's a lot of people that have been disrupted by COVID in various ways that we've supported. There's, we get joyous things like people having babies right in the middle of a program. What does that do to their study schedule? And then you get tragedy and bereavements and things like that. So it's really important that that there's support there, and where and when to ask for it. And so that's given. We've got a fantastic program leader. The tutors are phenomenal, the program management team, and the least used people in the building are the technical support guys. The stuff just works. The platform just works. It's all, it's just there. It's people rarely have issues. So if I go on then, in terms of eligibility criteria, the first one is the program's only open to doctors, and that sets, we're huge advocates of interprofessional education, but for this program, it's important that there's a kind of a base benchmark of everyone has done a medical degree. Now, we will have every discipline from general practice to anesthesiology, but everyone's got a base medical degree at least. In terms of English language, and again, there's people from all over the world on this program. We don't look, because you're not writing essays, we don't look for a formal English language proficiency test. Throughout the kind of admissions process, you'll be talking to James or Mark or Owen or any of the admissions team, and they are really good at making a determination very quickly as to whether or not someone has the standard of English that they will be able to contribute to the tutorials and go through the materials. So we'll, that forms part of the admissions process, but we don't need you to do an IELTS test or something like that. we will ask you for your undergraduate medical degree. So we'll ask you for your certificate for your MBBS or your MBCHB, etc. We'll ask you for identification. We'll ask you for a personal statement as to why you want to come on the program. The program fee, it's €2,500. So again, when we looked at the length of the program and what the program gives, we wanted to set a price that wasn't going to be a barrier for most people to join, and we think it's a very fair fee. So it's €2,500. It's a €500 deposit to secure your space, and I can't emphasize enough how important that bit is. The last intake that we had in August was pretty well oversubscribed about a month before it started. The next intake is about 50% full at the moment and is filling rapidly. So secure your space if you're interested is really important. I think we have about 1,000 people over the next couple of days on these information sessions. So there's astonishing interest in the program, which is fantastic. But in keeping the group sizes down to groups of 25, we're not just going to open the floodgates and let everybody in. There are caps on each intake. So if you want to come onto the program, securing that space is really important. You can then pay the rest of the fee either in 2 payments of €1,000 spread or 4 monthly payments of €500. So that's the fee structure. Some people ask about scholarships. It's been priced to be affordable. There aren't scholarships that come with that. So moving on then, and you've heard Zainab and Nigel at the start speaking about their experience as participants in the program, and this is from our last student survey. So there's students from 36 countries. We've 92% student engagement on this program, which is phenomenal. So, and what that's measuring is the people that are participating in the discussion forum every week and the people that are turning up, in Mark's case, on a Friday morning to their weekly tutorial. And when you see people coming through a program and week on week they're continuing to be engaged, it's a really positive sign in terms of how much they value the program, how strong the support is from the tutors, etc. So it's that figure, it shows as well that we've got the design right. We've enabled people to balance work and study and family and social life around the program. The satisfaction rating, that 100%, is based on an end of block survey which asks people on a 0 to 5 scale, where it's like strongly agree to strongly disagree. This is the amount of people that are saying they either agree or strongly agree with the statements on the learning experience, and it's literally 100% positive. It's phenomenal. 98% first time pass rate, which and that, whenever I see a pass rate that high, you instinctively go, ooh, is that too high? Is the exam too easy? And I think it's a case of everyone's got a medical degree. Everyone gets really, really positive, really high quality education experience. The vast majority of people are engaged with the program, and they come out the far side unscathed. And that's, in my view, that's what education should be. High quality input, strong experience, you get a strong output. So that has been a really quick overview of the program. I'm conscious we're at 13 minutes to the hour, which hopefully there's a bunch of questions. But I suppose in summary, it's 22 weeks and there's sensible breaks built in. It's open to medical doctors. It's looking, as Mark has reiterated a couple of times, it's looking at acute care, common presentations. The online experience is phenomenal. The qualification you're getting from the diploma from the Royal College of Physicians, that is one of the most prestigious organizations and institutions in medicine. It's recognized globally. You get CPD recognition alongside that. The fee, €2,500, we hope is accessible and affordable. And all I would say is those spaces are filling extraordinarily quickly. So if you are interested, I would be applying sooner rather than later, because people were disappointed on the last intake. This intake is about 50% full so far. So in the interest of not doing PowerPoint for a second longer than needed, I'll turn that off and let's look to whatever questions you might have. So if you do have questions, fire them in on chat. And
there is a question there from FA Oba, but I actually don't understand what FA you're asking there. Is a degree recognized and cited for functioning? I'm not sure.
If by cited for functioning you mean, does this give you a scope of practice change? Would you get a different designation that would allow you to carry out different elements of care? The answer is probably not. It obviously depends on the jurisdiction that you're in, but generally something that gets you a recognized specialist status will require a residency or a fellowship. So Mark, do you want to comment on that?
Yeah, I think I come across a lot of doctors in training and working with who say they've had quite a bit of pediatric experience or pediatric learning, but they haven't got a diploma and they haven't got a certificate. And I'd prefer seeing that diploma on their CV or on for their interview panel, and that tells me they have actually done the training, they have a recognized certificate, and they've been prepared to do that training. And so as regards a recognized certificate, the Diploma of Child Health is still the main diploma for pediatric learning in certainly the Western world.
Yeah, absolutely. So having a diploma in pediatrics on your CV, it is a recognized passport of, you've done that study, you've got that expertise. Just looking at Sarah's question, does this have an advantage if you want to do a membership exam in pediatrics if you're residing in Ireland? I think at the outset of your pediatric training, absolutely. Or if you're going for the pediatric exam, if you're at the early stages of your pediatric career, absolutely, it'll give you such a valuable grounding beyond what you've done in your medical degree.
Again, when I did the Diploma of Child Health many years ago, and I did my first part membership and then the Diploma of Child Health, and I found it kept me up and running for the second part membership. So if you're a pediatrician in training, because it's not at the level of membership, but it's the level of giving you the evidence base of what's out there. And we can make it during our tutorials as membership oriented as people want, let alone we don't want to leave behind the family practitioners who just want the basic knowledge.
Aoife's just asked,
this is a private question, but it'd be relevant to everybody. Iris is asking before Aoife, and she asked how often, or as Anna was asking it, how often do you have intakes? So we do have them 3 times per annum, Anna, in spring, summer and autumn. So this is the final one of 2020, and the next one will start in February 2021.
Yeah. So does this replace the Diploma in Child Health? So the Diploma in Child Health is a UK qualification. The Diploma in Paediatrics is the RCPI's variant. They are, they're going to do reasonably similar things in terms of breadth of study, etc. So, that it's a different name of a different qualification is probably the easiest way of putting it. Another question is coming privately: is it recognised by the Irish Medical Council and the GMC? So this is a really good question. It's asked all the time. So any qualification from the Royal College of Physicians or from any institution is recognised in terms of its educational merit. But the question I suspect you're asking is, what do the Irish Medical Council and the GMC, the only qualifications they formally recognise are those that lead to specialist status. So they will recognise all the undergraduate medical programs in Ireland or in the UK. They will then recognise all of the residency programs and the fellowship programs that lead to you being an endocrinologist, a paediatrician, or any other kind of specialist consultant status. What the Irish Medical Council or the GMC don't recognise is postgraduate education programs, be that a master's in mental health or a diploma in paediatrics. That doesn't fall under their remit, because while it gives you an incredible amount of knowledge and experience and confidence, it doesn't fall under a specialist status in terms of a designation. Just been asked a question, what time on Wednesday evenings are the tutorials in Ireland? They're 7:30 is the norm for kind of UK and Ireland. It's the logic is people can get home from work, throw something into their stomach, and sit for an hour and have the conversation. So that's the usual time. And actually, I'm going to bring a colleague of mine, Brian, in. Brian, this isn't supported by the TSS, the Training Support Scheme in Ireland, to the best of my knowledge.
It is.
It is?
It is, yeah. Brian, we have to unmute you. There you go.
There you go. Yeah, Dermot, I think it is supported by the TSS. It is, like, we've had lots of applicants in the August intake who applied for that, and as far as I know, we're successful. So
it is fully supported. Yeah, it is. What is the amount again, Brian? Is it 500? Though it's not the full amount or anything.
It depends on your position. So if you're an intern, it's around the 500 mark. But if you're in full, let's say if you're in year 1 or year 2 of training, then I think it's up around 1,000. I can look it up while we're on the call here.
Yeah, as a registrar, I think is higher again. Is it 1,100 or 1,200 or something?
Yeah, exactly. So it depends on your position.
Yeah, it is TSS supported, so that's important to know.
Okay, so it is supported, and the amount will vary depending on your. Okay, TSS will cover the 2,000 as a GP registrar. Great, thanks for that, Sarah.
Yeah, so it'll cover most, and if it's across 2 years, I'm not sure then if that means you can cover the whole amount by applying for what happens in 2020 and in 2021. I'm not sure about that, but on other programs, that's how it's worked, certainly in the UK.
Okay, brilliant.
There are no discounts or scholarships on this program. It has been priced to be accessible, and we do not give any discounts or scholarships at all on the program. There is flexible payments, so you can pay on a monthly basis rather than upfront.
Yeah. Are there other questions? Are there any areas, Rebecca or Mark or Brian, that you feel we haven't touched on?
What I will say, guys, is that our very capable sales team and wider team, because there's been such a huge interest in this particular program, the wider iheed team will be reaching out to you after this event. So you will be getting a call from James or Mark, our own, or Anthony or Brian, or one of the team, to just see if you're interested, if you want to go ahead, and if you have any additional questions. So you will get that personal reach out just to let you know. And after this, you will receive an email with the recording of this event if you want to go over it again in detail. If you're feeling you can't sleep at night and you want to just be counting sheep, you can go and watch this video again, and it will have the application link and the deposit link in that email as well. And I'm not trying to give you the fear of missing out, but I am in many ways, because it is filling very, very fast. We're at 50% capacity at the moment for the October intake. And it's just very popular program. So I would urge, if you are interested, to go ahead with your application and your deposit at your earliest possible convenience.
So a couple of questions that have come in. The one from Ali, I think, is really important. So if what we said earlier about attending the weekly tutorials, it is really important that you get to as many of those as you can, because being able to participate, being able to ask questions, being able to be involved in that discussion is really powerful. But every single person in the program is working full time. Lots of people are going to have shift patterns. They're going to change, and people invariably are going to miss tutorials every so often, and that's absolutely fine. Every tutorial, like tonight, in terms of this, is recorded and it's available to watch about an hour after it takes place, and then it stays up for the remainder of the program. So you can re-watch anything you want. It's obviously never as good to watch the playback as to be there live, but you'll miss nothing at any stage. The entire content of the program is available on day one, and every tutorial that you have is recorded. Every discussion forum stays up, so you'll never miss anything in totality. But obviously, being there live is way more enjoyable than
Sinead had another question there for you, Diarmuid, is will the qualification be a DIP PEDS if successful?
Yeah, so there aren't formal post-nominals with the qualification, but what we're seeing and what's becoming fairly normalized fairly quickly is people using DIP PEDS, and that's fine. So that's exactly it. What you'll get is a diploma in paediatrics from the Royal College of Physicians of Ireland, and people are very naturally already shortening that.
And let me be very clear that nowhere on your certificate does it say it's online or distance education. You will get the exact same qualifications if you were to do a face-to-face qualification in the RCPI.
Yeah. The other question that we get asked pretty regularly is, what happens if I don't pass one of the assessments? And that, as you've seen with the pass rates, that will happen to a very small number of people. There's 2 attempts at everything, so you repeat what you don't get. Let me see. So when October, it's starting on the, is it the 11th? Sorry, I actually don't have the date to hand. It's mid-October it's starting. We'll check that now. That would have been good to come on the call with, in fairness.
I just can't remember either. That's terrible. I'll bring it up now. While I'm doing that, Sudeep is asking, he said he's already done the DCH in the UK, and how is this different?
There are areas of the curriculum which are different. Certainly the online learning experience is vastly different. The content is going, the very case-based content is going to be a very different experience. The tutorials are going to be a different experience. Mark, do you want to come in on that as well?
Yeah, I examined in the Diploma of Child Health, both in the UK and Ireland. So the problem with that is it's still back to the old sort of examinations, test stations, getting various things, and sometimes you go through that exam and feel you're a bit hard done by with all the pediatrics that you've learnt. So we like to think we're covering everything and testing you with everything through it to build up your knowledge. Keep it simple. This is on easily on a level with the Diploma of Child Health, and I wouldn't underestimate it. And a lot of work has gone into this, particularly with the evidence base. After this webinar, I have to prepare for my tutorial group tomorrow, and I'm not just bringing out what I did a few months ago on this particular topic. I am getting up to date myself with everything that's there. So it's it's right up there. The other thing is yes, you're allowed to put DIP PEDS or Diploma of PEDS against your name, and that is a genuine certified Royal College certificate.
Yeah.
It is 25th of October.
25th of October is the start date. So the couple of other questions that have come in: are all countries' medical qualifications recognised as an entry criteria? Yeah, if you have an undergraduate medical degree that is recognised, there's a group called NARIC in the UK, which is the national body for recognition of qualifications. Once it comes from a university that they recognize, which is effectively every reputable university in the world, then yes, absolutely. It doesn't have to be specifically recognized by the Irish Medical Council. Another question that's come in is, if someone's on maternity leave, can they register? Absolutely. Yeah, that, you know, it's depending on the stage of maternity leave and how placid your child is, it could be the ideal time to study. So yeah, absolutely, that's not a problem.
There was a private question to Quiva there from Gabriella. If she didn't get a spot for October, will your application go forward and will you be offered a spot for the next intake? At the moment, Gabriella, we don't actually give first preference to people who missed out on the last intake. You just have to apply again. It's something we might look at, actually. But right now, it's if you don't get a spot, you'll have to apply again for the next intake.
Yeah. The script of the diploma is a diploma in paediatrics, and you will get that either as a pass or a distinction. Is what's written on it. Then let me see what else. Am I working as a pediatric? If that means, does this entitle you to work as a pediatrician? It would be about 7.5 years shy in terms of the training experience. So it won't make you a pediatrician in 6 months. That would be a miracle. So no, I mean, it's the purpose of this is to give you an exceptional understanding of the most common things that you'll face in pediatrics and to get you right up to date. So yeah, there's the answer to that. What else is on the chat here? Format of the certificate, October, yeah.
I think we've covered almost all questions there, guys. I think so.
I think, oh, sorry. Does this diploma help you in the preparation of membership exams? Yeah, certainly the first stage membership exams absolutely will be a huge help. And as Mark said, you know, that'll then roll over as a benefit into the next stage. So yeah, it's designed. It's absolutely designed for people that are at the early stages of pediatric career. Would this help a foreign doctor get accepted into a specialist training program in Ireland? I think this goes back to what Mark has said, that if you've got 2 CVs in front of you and you've got 2 people with ostensibly similar backgrounds and one of them's got a diploma in pediatrics and the other doesn't, that person is going to have demonstrated objectively that they are a stronger candidate. So, you know, in that regard, you would have to think it would absolutely help. It doesn't, you know, it doesn't tick a box per se, but it absolutely strengthens your CV. Do you get marks for weekly participation? Something that's come in privately. You don't. And again, we thought long and hard about this. And given that A, most people are participating anyway, and B, everyone's got really busy clinical schedules, it will be, we think it'll actually be a little unfair to award marks against something which might actually be outside of your control if someone changed your shift pattern or something happens at the last minute. So what you get graded on is the you get graded on the skills portfolio that you put in, and you get graded on the exam. And they're the 2 things that will make up the qualification you get at the end. So an observership, a placement in an Irish hospital doing the course, no. So you would not get that. And we're really clear, it's an academic qualification. It's not a, you know, this is not clinical training that's supervised. You know, that is going down the specialist route in a residency program. Someone here have got part 1 and part 2. RCPI preparation for the clinical assessment in that, Mark? Would this?
Yeah, there's in the modules there's lots of case presentations. So again, from a revision point of view or an updated point of view, that's one way of doing it. I mean, I think the important thing, it's all up to date. So it's not just simple basic training. It looks at various topics, and going through primary care, secondary care, tertiary care. So it's all there. So it certainly would be a good revision practice for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Someone's asked privately then, in terms of the skills portfolio, what does that entail? So the skills portfolio is effectively a video that you submit. So you'll record, it's a 7 to 10 minute video on, it can be on taking a history, it can be on, what we'll ask you to do is explain how would you relay a diagnosis, to a 10-year-old. And, so it's what the skills portfolio is doing is it's looking beyond the kind of the knowledge and the clinical decision making into actually how might you put some of this into practice. So it's testing some of the communication skills and the patient-centered approach that we'd like to think you will be taking. So yeah, that they're straightforward. Their purpose is to give guidance and feedback as well as having a grade attached to them. So yeah, that's what they entail. Only written certificate of completion. Yeah, so the certificate, what you get is a diploma. It's a diploma in paediatrics from the Royal College of Physicians of Ireland. That's the end qualification. So guys, I'm conscious we're at 10 past the hour now, and it's probably, I think some of the questions are starting to repeat a tiny bit. Yeah. So we've probably answered most of them. In terms of follow-up, you'll get a recording of the talk tonight, and you'll be getting a call from one of the team to assess if you want to go ahead. I'd like to express huge thanks to Mark and to Nigel and to Zainab for their time and input. I hope what we've done is kind of shone a light on what the program entails and what it feels like to be a participant on it. It's it's a formal qualification. It's from a really prestigious institution, but it's delivered in a really relaxed, friendly, informal way that is very supportive. So, and I think the final point to reiterate what Rebecca was saying, we're surprised and delighted with the level of interest in the program and the continued level of interest in it. It keeps filling every time, which is great. So if you are looking at joining, I'd encourage you to act sooner rather than later. Rebecca, is there anything you want to finish up with, or Mark?
Just expect the email with the recording and the link to apply and your deposit link in the next 24 hours.
Brilliant. So look, Mark, if that's it, we'll thank everyone for coming along this evening, and enjoy the rest of your evening, and hopefully we'll see you all soon.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks so much.
Thanks, mate.
Take care.